Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be looking through the decision making and the time has already elapsed on the instructions on practice paper A on the UCAT website. So we're going to jump straight in answering these questions and hopefully go through as we go through. So this is the first time I'm seeing this paper, so let's crack on. So all countries provide visas to passport X. So X is doing great. Country B provides visas to only 2 countries. That's a bit vague. Let's move on. Country A provides visas to B and vice versa. So B gives to A. Presumably B also gives to X, so they're the 2 countries that are mentioned here. Okay, great. So all diplomatic passport holders receive visas in country B. Well, I don't think that follows, no. We know that all people from X, all countries provide it to X, but we don't know anything about country C, for example, later on mentioned, country D, etc. So this is not going to follow. A man received a visa in country C, so he must have had a passport of country X. Well, he doesn't have to have had a passport of country X because we don't have any information about C, so I'm going to put that doesn't follow. Country B, passport holders are eligible for visas in country X. Well, we know that X gets visas from everywhere else, but we don't know whether B is eligible or not, so I'm going to put no for that one. Passport holders of country X never have to worry about applying for a visa in advance. Well, yes, that's true. Remember, this section is not so much about the wording of it as much as verbal reasoning is. It's more about the concept. And here, X, all countries provide visas to X, so they don't have to worry. So that does follow. Samantha received a visa in country B, so she must have had a passport in either country X or country A. Though that's true, yes. So she received a visa, X always gets it, and country A, obviously we've got the vice versa, so that does follow. Okay, profit margin of more than 50% can only be achieved when production occurs in a country whose currency is weaker as compared to the market where products are sold, or when the company is willing to compromise on safety. Okay, fine. A company does not compromise on safety, so the only way it can achieve this greater than 50% is through this currency thing. Its production occurs in a different country, okay, that's fine. Its profit margin can be less than 50%. Absolutely, yeah, if it was the other way round, or if it was a rubbish company, absolutely, that does follow. A company has a profit margin of more than 50%. It meets all safety requirements. Its production must occur in a different country to its market. Well, yeah, because there's 2 conditions that need to be met in order, or one or the other needs to be met in order for this to be achieved. So it must have this production split. So that does follow. The company's production in country Y, which has a weaker currency than the country where its market is, it must have a profit margin of more than 50%. Now this seems true, but imagine the company is rubbish. Imagine the company is really inefficient. Even if it has markets in different countries and etc., that's not going to be following. It's the difference, if you want to look more into that, look into the difference between a necessary condition and a sufficient condition. Okay, achieving profit margin of more than 50% is difficult, or we don't know anything about how difficult it is. And finally, authorities have identified compromising. This is the opposite problem. So it's compromising on safety. The company must have a profit, or no, it might be a rubbish company. This sort of setup on safety is necessary for the 50%, but it's not sufficient. In other words, there needs to be other things as well. Okay, this is more straightforward. I can imagine this situation a lot easier. Only male, no, we're just told there's no female engineers. Very few women entrepreneurs, no, we don't know anything else about the other things. No entrepreneur at the summit who works in the engineering, well, yeah, that's what it's saying. So there's no woman engineers here. All the male entrepreneurs at the summit work in the engineering. Well, no, because there could be males in finance, etc. We just know there's no female engineers, so this one doesn't follow. The entrepreneurs at the summit who work in engineering were men. Well, yeah, so because we're looking at only the engineering industry at this summit, and there were no women, so we must know, therefore, that they were all men. All crows are black, all doves are white. The bird is either a dove or a crow. Simple enough. Okay, the bird is white. Well, no, it could be a dove or a crow. It could be a crow. This bird is either a white or a crow. Well, crows are black, doves are white. It's either one or the other. So yes, this is true. If not a crow, this bird is a black dove. Well, black doves just don't exist because all crows are black, all doves are white. So that doesn't follow. This bird is either black or a dove. Yeah, that's the opposite to this, and that does follow because it's either a dove or a crow. This bird is neither black or white. Well, it definitely is a dove or a crow, and we know for sure that all crows are black, all doves are white. So this one doesn't follow. It must be black or white. Okay, we've got some ordering questions. So we've got Angie. This is going to be the taller end. This will be the shorter end. Okay, so we've got Angie, we've got Cora. Then we've got Emma and Belle, which we're not sure how they fit in, but we know that Belle is shorter than Cora. So this is Belle here. And D is taller than Belle. So we've got Angie, Cora, D, Belle. And we know that Emma is shorter than Belle, so Emma is at the end here. Okay, fantastic. So we've got Angie, Cora, D, Belle, Emma. So Emma is the shortest, Angie is the tallest. So that fits with B here. Okay, so these places are 6 miles from my home, but Uzdu is only 8 miles. Okay, so these places are further away from each other than from my home, so they must be existing on a triangle. Tulip is on the way to Wesco, fine. Which is the following: if I start at Uzdu and drive directly to Wesco, I must pass my house. Well, no, they're in a triangle. It's just as quick for me to get to Wesco as Uzdu. Well, this is about time. We've only got information about distances. It could be that the road to Wesco is rubbish, like rubbish quality. So B isn't necessarily true. A round trip from home to Wesco to Uzdu and back home is at least 20 miles. So if we go from home to Wesco, that's 6. Over to Uzdu, that's 8. We're on to 14. And then back to home, that's another 6. So 20 miles. Yeah, it must be at least 20 miles if we don't take any detours. Okay, here we've got a spatial equation, fine. The way I work these out is by trying to sort of not think too much about it, just taking pairs at a time. So we've got a triangle is worth 3 squares. So if we replace these 3 triangles here, so we'll have 9 squares. We need to know how much a circle is. So a triangle is worth 3 squares. So you've got 6 squares here. If we take this square onto the other side, then a circle must be equal to 5 squares. So 5 squares plus 5 squares, that's 10 squares. We already said that the triangle is 3 squares, so that's 9 squares. So 10 squares is equal to 9 squares plus something, well, an extra square. There are 8 apartments on the floor. Each apartment has okay, we've got some information there. Owned by one of 4 owners, fantastic. They own 2 apartments, okay. Both of that, okay, fine. We've got some Adam owning this one here. Adam's apartment's in the same horizontal row but do not share a wall, so it can't be this one. Adam must own this one. So if we look at the question, we're looking for the 1-room apartment. So Adam must be in the answer, fine. Either rows of, this is a bit of a cryptic clue, I don't really like it. Let's go on to this one. Gary's 2 apartments share 1 dividing wall and neither Gary nor Flora have a 3-room apartment. Okay, so Gary must be on here somewhere. He doesn't have the 3-room apartment, so he must be having these 2 rooms. So Gary occupies this 1 room. So Adam up here, Gary down here. That means the answer is C. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, another conceptual question. Again with a series of clues here. Okay, just reading through the clues. The queen is closer to Rob than the knight. The queen and the bishop are situated on the same colour squares. They could be these ones or these ones. The star is neither represented by the king nor the knight nor the king, sorry. That must mean the star is either the bishop or the queen. And the bishop is on the right side of the board, so when viewed from John, so this must be the queen. So the star must be the queen, and we've got some information about the queen in the first. The queen is closer to Rob than the knight. So if we're looking from Rob's perspective, this is the queen, so this one must be the knight. And which shape is represented by the arrow? Well, that must be the knight. Fantastic. Okay. Oh, I hate these ones. Sorry to show bias on the questions, but I really don't like these ones. Nonetheless, we have to deal with them. Okay, so to improve road safety and encourage technological development, should the use of driverless cars and lorries be encouraged? Now, the key with these ones I've learned is to try and address every single part of the question and not get carried away in the argument. So we're looking for road safety and technological development. Powerful incentive this is about road safety, doesn't address technology. Will their sensors then like to be safer? Well, it doesn't improve technology, that's fine. Driverless cars should not be allowed on the roads until other total confidence in the systems. That's nothing to do with anything that's mentioned. No, a pilot project on select roads needed first to ensure that driverless cars are safe. So that's the road safety and supporters claim and the technology work. So D addresses both of these parts. I would say D is the correct answer. Now we're talking about solar panels fitted to government buildings to ensure that it fulfills its environmental commitments to cut its carbon emission by 34%. Again, we have to address every part. So it has to do that 34% cutting of carbon emissions. Now, also, I've noticed they don't really like these should words in these questions. It's not about principles, it's about hardcore facts. So I don't think A is correct. Fitting government buildings with solar panels will go some way to fulfilling the government's environmental. Again, some way, filling, it needs to be very precise, it means 34%. No, solar panels are unsightly. Well, that's nothing to do with the environmental commitments. And finally, not suitable for, but to meet its commitments, more measures. So specifically, we're talking about the commitments. We've got reason why they can't do it, and therefore I think D is the correct one here. Public libraries, okay, charging readers to borrow books so they can afford new books. Okay, so it's all about affording the new books for public use. That's the whole point of the fee, right? Yes, it's imposed severe cuts, many of which can no longer afford. Well, it's nothing to do with keeping libraries open, it's about affording books. Yes, many libraries are underfunded and cannot buy books without additional income. It's fair that this could come from a borrower's fee. That's the best answer so far. No, most people don't use libraries. It will not concern them. Well, that's not really the point. The point is just to get these books for the public. It doesn't matter whether most people use them or not. Most libraries already have enough books, and readers who pay taxes should be content to use what's available. Well, that's not neither here nor there, right? So I'll leave it as B, mainly because that last one is just saying that you should be happy with what you got, which is kind of not the point. Okay, is a substantial reduction in the price of crude oil good for the world? Okay, so we need it to be good for the world. Everyone will be able to afford them. Financial stuff is not necessarily equivalent to good for the world. So I'm hesitant about A. Countries will benefit from reduced spending on enabling them to spend more money on infrastructure. Again, infrastructure, even though it sounds good, is it good for the world? We don't know. No, it will stop vehicle manufacturers from spending money on research into energy. Well, that is definitely good. It's not like infrastructure where this could be deemed, I don't know, a downside. Don't put that as our best answer so far. No, it may increase pollution, which in turn will cause more damage to the global environment. Could be C or D, because this is talking about the global, and I like the use of the word global here. I don't like the hesitancy of it may. This it will seems a bit stronger, so I'm going to put C, but we'll flag it anyway. Okay, let's move on to this one. This is a graphical question. Here we're looking at influenza, an unknown condition, very mysterious. We've got 5 to 16-year-olds, less than 5-year-olds. Okay, fine. And we've got some disease timeline, and specifically a paper being published, right? The condition mostly follows a bout of influenza. So we're looking for any displacement in the graph. You can see there's a peak here in early sort of January, and then a peak here 2 weeks later in the unknown condition. And again, you can kind of see that here. There's a peak here in October and a rise again in towards the end of November. So I guess it does mostly follow. Younger children are more likely to be affected by the condition. Well, their line is lower actually, so they're less likely, as that doesn't follow. A record high sale of vitamin pills, well, was most likely reported in December. Well, no, that was before the benefits of vitamin C, and also I don't like the fact that we're talking about sales when this data has nothing to do with that, so no. The condition is prevented by raising the vitamin C intake amongst children. This is classic correlation causation. Even though the paper was published, we have no idea about consumption. We have no idea about any other. It could have just been a coincidence. I could have said that Harry Potter was published here, and Harry Potter caused its decline. So there's no real sort of causation implied by this graph here. Influenza and the condition have a strong relationship with temperature and sunshine patterns. Okay, so clearly, I mean, it does, and we know that from our external knowledge. We can also see it on the graph here. Look, it's very high in these like colder months with little sunshine, very sort of low in these warmer months with lots of sunshine. And again, we see it creeping up in November, again, because it's colder. The thing that's putting me off is the strong relationship. In order to show that, we would need some data about the actual sunshine patterns. I'm going to put no, but it could be yes, but we'll see. Okay, long question. Here, again, we're focusing on the concepts, less so about the verbal reasoning side of it. Okay, so we've got digital information, the near extinct folk art of puppetry. Okay, early childhood educators have found it to be a valuable educational tool. They make imagination, they improve things. Okay, they build skills, fostering confidence, self-expression. Fine. So digital entertainment has made all traditional. Already, I'm thinking no. We're specifically talking about puppets and puppetry. It's not talking about all traditional arts. Puppets as learning tools are valuable for school children of all age groups. Well, no, we've got something about primary school, but we've not got anything about 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, so that doesn't follow. The importance has been promoted by experts. We've got no evidence of that. The puppetry has been used previously because has not been used previously in primary schools because it was regarded, well, this old-fashioned comes from here, but we don't know whether that was said in primary schools, so I'm going to put no for that one. We just know that most people said it. Puppetry helps in developing the verbal ability of children who have started formal education. Well, yeah, in this primary school, it did build oral language skills. So yes, that's formal education, and it has developed their verbal ability. Okay, consumers today are more aware of their health choices that they have in transitioning from drug-orientated, highly invasive conventional medicine to alternative therapies. And then we've got some stuff about asthma and salt therapy. Oh, I don't know what salt therapy is, but this person is clearly a supporter. These patients have abandoned bronchodilator drugs were found to have boosted their respiratory stress and lung capacity coupled. Okay, fine. Well-informed people are responsible for their own health. Well, that comes from here. They're more aware, so they're more informed. That's fine. They have greater responsibility for their own health. So I think that does follow. It does say that in the passage. Salt therapy uses a range of techniques, some of which are invasive. Okay, so when it says about, salt therapy is comprised of a range of techniques, but we're told nothing about how invasive they are, so I'm going to put no, that doesn't follow. Bronchodilators drugs do not boost respiratory stress. Now this is classic, like even though because salt therapy works, doesn't mean that the alternative doesn't work, it just means that here they're saying for those individuals where it didn't work, that could be 1% of people, maybe salt therapy is good, but we don't know the original population, how many people benefited from bronchodilators. So we can't draw much conclusion about bronchodilator drugs. And that's the same for these ones, this one down here as well, I can see. Use of alternative therapies to treat respiratory has multiple health benefits. Well, yeah, I mean, it does say that. So it says they boost their respiratory stress, there's lung capacity increase, anti-inflammatory, so that does follow. Okay, now we've got some information about beta-glucan. Viscous layer attenuates uptake of cholesterol, prevents reabsorption of bile, okay? And then the body draws from cholesterol, breaks it down to digestive. Okay, great. So it's both blocking uptake of cholesterol and also causing it to break down more. Fine. Bile breaks down cholesterol in the lower parts of our gut. Well, no, it's the cholesterol is broken down into bile, not the other way around, so that doesn't follow. Some soluble fibers lower blood cholesterol more than weight. Yes, it does. It stops it absorbing and it breaks it down. The mode of administration determines, well, this doesn't follow because we don't know about anything about the mode of administration. Individuals with both elevated and normal cholesterol levels would benefit. Okay, that seems to be true. It's independent of the initial cholesterol. So if it's high, it's low, it doesn't matter. It will lower the cholesterol. Now, my problem is maybe that we don't know whether that's a beneficial thing. For example, maybe you can have too low cholesterol. Now my gut says that's not a thing, but nonetheless, I'm a bit hesitant about saying that they would benefit, that the cholesterol would be lowered. It's unsure about whether that would benefit. There's a strong association between this consumption and decrease of blood cholesterol. Yes, we're told that it lowers blood cholesterol and there's a mechanism in place, so I think that does follow. Okay, it closed its outsourcing division. Okay, we need to speed up a little bit. I tend to glance at the time roughly halfway through. I don't focus on it too much on a question by question basis, just because I think it's distracting. On the whole, the division received ad hoc question. Okay, within 1 year of shutting down the division, the company lost 7. Okay, so basically it didn't make any profit, but they shut it down and then the company got screwed basically, and lost a lot of its accounts. Fine. Losing 7 platinum accounts is not a big problem. We don't know how big a problem it is, but the gist of it is that it was a big problem. Other departments were busier, but we don't know anything about other departments. With decision making, it's easy when they're talking about something outside the text. Don't worry about it too much. It never follows. So other departments, we don't know anything about other departments, so it doesn't follow. French companies prefer to outsource recruitment rather than doing this activity in-house. Well, again, we don't know anything about French companies in general. Although the recruitment division is not making profit, it's an integral part of the offering. Yes, that's the whole point. It said, although it's not making profit, actually they closed it down, it had drastic effects, so clearly it must have been integral. That does follow. Large companies prefer, again, we've got nothing to do with large companies in general. You can see how quick I answered that last one, just because we don't know anything about large companies. We know one specific company. So whenever it tries to generalize outside the box, like French companies or large companies or other departments, suddenly you can put no, it doesn't follow. Okay, another set of questions I don't like looking at because they're confusing and you never come across them. But nonetheless, let's have a look. Based on the diagram, how many employees qualify for promotion? Okay, so you need an overlap of 3 areas. So I'm going to look centrally. These areas are 3 areas, I think. Yeah, so 32, 26, 9, and 12. 12 is also included in that. Let's add them all up. I think that adds up to 79. Which individuals are common to at least 3 groups? Okay, so where's the overlap of 3? This is 2, 2, 2. Here's the overlap of 3. So that's in the circle, that's school friends. In the square, they're female school friends. And in the triangle, that are in London. Female school friends are in London. That's B. Okay, here I would draw a diagram. So let me get a piece of paper and I can draw a diagram out. And what I'm drawing is essentially a Venn diagram here, creating my own. So we've got the first session, the second session, and the third session, which I'm going to call 1, 2, and 3. 8 children attended only the first session, so I'm going to put 8. I'll show you the diagram afterwards. 7 children attended only the third session, so that's 7 over here. 8 children attended the first and second sessions. 8 children, fine. 10 children attended only the second and the third sessions. And no children attended both the first and the third session. Okay, now after we've done that, we've got to bear in mind the original information that was told. There was 40 children. Let's add up what we've got. We've got 8 plus 8 plus 10 plus 7. So how many children are essentially missing from this diagram? Well, 18 plus 8 is 26, plus 7 is 33. We're missing 7, so 7 children must have attended the first, second, and third. Essentially, our Venn diagram looks a little bit like this. So now we can add up all of those in the second circle, and we end up with 8 plus 7 plus 10, that's 25 children. Fantastic. Okay, we're on a roll, right? Okay, right, there's a lot of information here. We've got a fair amount of time to do 1 minute per question, so let's just keep a closer eye on the time for these ones, because they can take a bit of time. Cosmetics and fragrances were the second highest selling product category. Cosmetics, so that's in the circle, 70 plus 23 plus 3. I'm not going to worry too much about those, but those numbers are high. It doesn't seem to be competed by this rhombus or this trapezium. The only one that can compete is the triangle. The 23 is shared, so let's ignore that. 52 plus 21, that's 73. That accounts for these two, but we've also got the extra 12. So the triangle is the most by 12, and then the circle. So yeah, cosmetics and fragrances are the second highest selling product category. And I didn't look at the rest of them because they're a waste of time. Once we found the answer, we found the answer. Right. All dogs with short fur that weigh more than 40 pounds are either spotted. Okay, all dogs with short fur. Short fur is the circle that weigh more than 40 pounds. Okay, the parallelogram is 40 pounds or less, so we're looking outside the parallelogram. Are either spotted or have a loud bark. Well, already we know that 50 don't have any of those, so that's not true. The number of dogs that are neither spotted nor have short fur is fewer than the number of dogs that neither have a large bark nor... Okay, so the number of dogs that neither spotted nor short fur. Spotted is triangle, short fur is circle. So we're looking at these three numbers here, 34, 12, and 26. is fewer than, these are quite big numbers, so I'm going to skip that. I think that's not going to be correct. The number of dogs with a loud bark and short fur is equal to the number of dogs with a loud, okay, so loud bark is, again, the rectangle. Short fur is the circle, so we're looking at this 6 here, 4 and the 2. Is equal to the number of dogs with a loud bark and spotted fur. Loud bark is, again, this thing. Spotted fur is the triangle. Well, no, this triangle's got way more, so that's not true. I'm going to guess D on this one. I'm not going to check it because we've got very little time left. And the same with this one. We're just going to run out of time. So I'm going to flag this one, guess, for C, because it's too long a question for the amount of time that we've got. Okay, these are more helpful. So, all humans are mammals. That must mean there's a little circle inside a big circle. No humans lay eggs, so there's a separate circle outside of humans. Some mammals lay eggs. Okay, so that separate circle overlaps with the bigger circle. And all birds lay eggs. Okay, so from that information, I think it's C. The reason is all humans are mammals. This human circle is inside the bigger mammal circle. No humans lay eggs. So this circle must be eggs. It doesn't overlap with the human circle. Some mammals lay eggs. Indeed, it intersects with the mammal circle. And all birds are inside the egg circle because all birds lay eggs. So C seems to be correct to me. Annoyingly, we get that message. We're just going to view the whole screen. That's fine. Okay, Bill has a coin. The probability that when he throws it, it lands on heads. He throws it 10 times. It always lands on heads. The probability that it lands will still be P. Yeah, that's true. This is gambler's fallacy. No matter how many times you do it, even if you get a string of one outcome, every event is different and therefore every event holds the original probability. So yes, it has no effect on the outcome of the 11th row. That may make you wonder whether the coin is biased, but that's not inferred in the question. Okay, 2 white counters, 2 black counters. Eric takes a counter, does not look at it, puts it to the side. The counter is white. He then takes out a second counter, does not look at it. Eric states the probability of the second counter will be white is 0.5. This is a bit like Schrodinger's cat. Like, I don't know whether it changes the probability if he looks at it or not looks at it. And the question is a bit strange as to from whose perspective are we talking about. Now, obviously, we're talking from Eric's perspective, but in reality, the probability isn't because we know as the observer that it's white the first time. So I'm going to go with no, he's not correct because the first counter was white. That means there's one fewer white in the bag. So the probability is going to be more like a third, really. So no. Hospital A and Hospital B has equal number of X-ray machines. Each day 2%. Okay, so these are always sort of reversed. So 2% are unusable. That must mean that 98% are usable in Hospital A, 75% are usable in B. A is winning so far. The chance that the usable machine will break down is 1 in 10 in Hospital A and 2 in 20 in B. They're the same. 2 in 20 and 1 in 10 are the same. So A looks like the better choice. So therefore, is Hospital B the better choice? No, it's not, because they both have the same chance of machine breakdown, but B has fewer usable machines. That's the correct one there. And final question, great, and we've got a minute, so hopefully we can check one of our answers. So medicine A cannot cure 10%, so it can cure 90%. And same for B, 90% of patients who take B are cured. About 3 in 30 have an allergy of A, 4 in 40 have an allergy in B, that's the same. So these are both the same. So is medicine A the better choice? No, it's not, because they're both the same. Fantastic. Okay, let's go back to question 13. I can't remember what this one was. Okay, this one was about the crude oil good for the world. A substantial reduction. It will stop vehicle manufacturers from spending money on research into energy efficient vehicles. Or no, it may increase pollution, which in turn will cause more damage to the global environment. See, the global aspect is really making me question it, because with specifically, there's not much meat on this question apart from the word world. It has to be good for the world. And this is talking about the global environment. I may switch that answer. I may put D for that one, just because we're talking about the global environment, and I feel like they've snuck in that word global just to show. And I think also we don't know where these vehicle manufacturers are. It could be that they benefit people in developed countries, maybe developing countries won't benefit. So I think D is more encompassing of the world. So that's great. We switched the answer there. And then finally, let's go to question 24. The other flagged question we had, this one was on guessed. Let's quickly do this one. MP3 models. Let's just check whether C was the right one. Exactly half the models that have MP3 have more than one additional feature. Circle-resonant modules. Okay, no, they all have additional features except for 5. So let's switch it. Quick B. There we go. Okay, B was still a guess, but at least it was, we eliminated C, so we have a 1 in 3 chance of getting it right, rather than a definite chance of getting it wrong if we'd left C. Fantastic. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you. That's practice test A, looking at the decision-making section. Next, we'll be looking at the situational judgment section of practice test A, and then we'll be going through all of the answers, what we got wrong and right in each of the 3 sections that I'm covering today. So verbal reasoning, decision-making, and then finally situational judgment. So I'll see you next time, and I hope this was useful.